Thank you for clicking on my video. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, I actually want to talk about a video from Aquazzura that sent me down a very fun rabbit hole. So let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you haven't already, feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. You're also welcome to share the video so more people can find the channel. And throughout tonight's program, don't forget you have the ability to leave a comment or use the live chat. So like I said, Aquazzura released one of 3 videos this past weekend that sent me down a really fun rabbit hole. Now, Aquazzura is the highly coveted famous footwear brand of choice for Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. She has continued to help the brand skyrocket in popularity thanks to millions of people seeking her Sussex style. They released the 3rd installment of their series of videos showing the exclusive design process of the otherworldly founder and creative director, Edgar Osorio. The first video depicts Edgar in the throes of his magical design process as he uses many inspirations to formulate yet another masterpiece. The second video shows how that design and many others are then transformed into the prototypes through meticulous craftsmanship and unique detailing. And the third and latest installment shows the results as a woman with fabulous legs, by the way, struts in the gorgeous red bow tie pumps. We are then taken through a series of celebrities, models, and public figures wearing Aquazzura shoes. However, the last turn of the page reveals Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, aka Queen of Aquazzura. And she's wearing Aquazzura at her engagement photo call and later at her wedding reception. I love these 2 photos together as it shows that they were part of her wedding process from beginning to end. However, some people were surprised to find out that Meghan has been a fan of the footwear brand for a very long time, preceding their current global popularity and her time as royal. It was so much fun watching these 3 videos, showing the process from beginning to end, and ultimately resting on the influence of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, that made me want to revisit a few of my favorite Aquazzura moments from the Duchess. So let's get into it. Now, one of the first looks that comes to mind when I think of the purest pump is at the 2023 Invictus Games closing ceremony. There are 2 elements that really made this look pop for me. I thought the outfit and the look as a whole looked great, but one of my favorite parts of this is that this dress is very green, and so she didn't wear a shoe with a bright hue to take away from that. She allowed the dress to be the centerpiece. She even went with more muted tone makeup, and she, of course, wore the nude heels, so it made the dress pop. But also, just kind of this little secret trick that I found that happens with these shoes and Meghan is that her skin tone is very similar to the hue of the shoe, and it makes her legs look endlessly long. So I just think the look as a whole is very nice, and I thought the perfect complement to this dress was this nude heel. Another time where this heel just looked fabulous was at the Archwell Foundation Parents Summit on World Mental Health Day. That's when she wore the blazer and pants set, the off-the-shoulder white blazer. Now, the thing is, Meghan was wearing white that day, and it can be very tempting to wear white with white shoes. And that would have been a look. Now, if you're going to wear white shoes, I would always recommend going with a suede or just some other fabric, some other fabric other than leather. Very rarely have I seen white leather heels nail it. They can tend to look very dated very quickly. I don't even really know why that is because, for example, Christian Louboutin makes a pair of white heels that never look dated. And I think it's about the structure of the heel that always makes it look really nice, really current, and just really fabulous. Aquazzura also has a white pump. It's pointed toe, and it's the cutout Aquazzura bow tie pump that has a really cool frame. Again, it's cut out around the heel on the sides, and it's got a 4-inch heel with a pointed toe. It nails it. It's one of the very, very few white pumps or just white heels in general that do not look dated, and it has everything to do with the structure of the shoe. When you have good craftsmanship, the shoes look current and at times even innovative, and it is really hard to achieve that with white. It just is. But if you aren't careful and the structure isn't perfect, in a day or two, white heels can look very dated. It's just you don't see them that often anymore. And so, one of the things that I love that Meghan did here was she wore an all white outfit, and it could have been easy to lean into a monochromatic outfit because she's wearing all white and wear white heels. But I thought it was intentional, and I thought it was a great call to wear nude heels instead. Also, the nude heels made the white outfit look very, very bright. It made it look really, really white and really, really clean and really pop. Again, something that you achieve with nude or beige heels is that your outfits will pop. Even with a white outfit, it just made it look really sharp and it contrasted really well. And I don't think a white heel would have been able to achieve that. Another moment, and one of my absolute favorite moments when Meghan wore this heel, was at the 2020 Commonwealth Day services. Now, we all know the green dress. We talk about the green dress, we talk about the handbag, we definitely talk about the cape, and we absolutely talk about the hat. However, all of that popped. Why? Because of her endlessly long legs in these nude Aquazzura purist pumps. Now, the pumps themselves are beautiful, and they absolutely give her a pop of an ankle, which makes her legs appear a lot more firm. Again, all of these things are what you want. And also, the height of the heel really makes her calf muscles pop. This shoe is a very intentional shoe. But again, when you want that green to pop, go with the nude shoe. And one of the other moments that she wore this shoe in the beige hue was at the 2023 final day of the Invictus Games, and she wore the cropped pants, the duster, and it was all very muted in tone. And this is a moment where the shoes actually shined because the clothes were very wistful and there was a lot of fabric going on. And I loved how you have all this fabric, it's kind of layered, and then you have this very sharp pointed toe high heel pump. It brings it all together. And I just thought this is a few different ways where you can work the same heel or the same type of heel to achieve different outcomes and different looks. Again, this only comes when you pick your pieces according to your personal style. A lot of times people will pick pieces based on what's trendy, not necessarily what works for their personal style. And this is what happens when you choose items and pieces that work for you. Meghan also has these heels in two darker hues, in navy as well as in black. One of my favorite times seeing her wear these in the darker shades was in 2021 at the One World Observatory visit in New York, where she donned the navy pair with the monochromatic outfit. This is one of my favorite looks ever from Meghan and Harry as a couple, and Meghan specifically as well. I love this look. I love monochromatic anyway. Someone else who does monochromatic very well is Michelle Obama. When she wore that plum monochromatic outfit, I believe it was to one of the inaugurations, it floored me. And seeing it here in a pantsuit with a coat, it's structured and it looks really sharp. But look at these heels with a dress and something a little bit more flowy. They still work. They still make her legs look great. They still complement the outfit well, and they can still come off very, very soft, very whimsical. The power of the perfect craftsmanship. Now, this wouldn't be a list if we didn't talk about the Aquazzura bow tie pumps, often called the Danube bow. Now, these are also my favorite. I'm a stickler for a classic heel, but it's something about this bow tie that is just everything. I love it. I love a good signature on any brand, and the Danube bow on the bow tie pumps is absolutely that for Aquazzura. And so I struggle with which are actually my favorite, whether it's the purest pumps or if it's the bow tie pumps. It just depends on the day. Y'all know I'm indecisive. Now, these shoes have featured in a number of my favorite outfits, and it was really hard to whittle this down. This is the best I could do, and this is still a very long list, but she's worn these shoes in beige, black, and in navy, and I really had to work to whittle it down. So let's start with beige. In 2018, Meghan wore these heels at the Cintabali Polo Cup, and she wore it with that fabulous navy dress, the sunglasses, and the low bun. It was definitely giving old money, and I hate that term, but it was definitely giving old money. And it's so funny that that's now a trend right now, and that's like a desired aesthetic, is like old money aesthetic. Um, I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic because this is actually like a more classic or traditional way of dress. Before it was attached to like a trendy aesthetic, people dress like this because they have a more classic traditional taste with an innovative spin. And if you know what works for you and you like more of the classic looks, this works for you. It's not about money, it's about the look and the quality. And Meghan was doing this long before it became an aesthetic. And that's why I do not like attaching her to the old money aesthetic, because she was doing classic dress long before that became trendy. And I do not like attaching her to trends, because if it's anything that we could learn from Meghan's fashion is that she does not chase trends. She's an innovator herself, and people create trends based on her. I would even say that Meghan's style was one of the reasons why so many people have adopted an quote old money aesthetic. But y'all did not come here to hear me rant, rave, and complain about people attaching her to a trend when she was doing it long before the trend became trendy. So now let's talk about the black version of these shoes. And if you know what I'm going to say is my favorite look in the black version of these shoes. And it's Meghan's first solo engagement in 2018 when she attended the opening of the Royal Academy Oceania exhibition. This is definitely one of my favorite looks from Meghan ever, but particularly in these bow tie heels. I just think this whole look looked amazing. And then the little bow tie on the back was just such a cute touch. But this outfit was fabulous. And it's so interesting that this was her first solo engagement, because the tabloid hounds were already starting with her long before the wedding, but especially then. This was the beginning of the car door controversy. And if you watch my shorts, then you know I've shown a number of shorts where Princess Diana closed her own car door and it was never a thing. Kate and Queen Elizabeth as well have both shut their own car doors. It's never been a thing. It was just another tabloid ploy to try and attack her. But this was the beginning of that controversy, and that went on for freaking years. I have a whole video detailing the impact of her closing her own door. Here's the thing: if people are going to hate on you, you may as well look fabulous. So this dress, what they were really mad about wasn't that she shut her own car door. They were mad that she wore this dress and looked the way she did, because they could never. Anyway, this is one of my favorite looks from Meghan ever, and this is definitely my favorite look in the black bow tie heels. Now, I want to also talk about another time where she wore these heels. A very different look, gave off a very different vibe, but worked just as well. And that was at the Queen's Young Leaders Awards ceremony at Buckingham Palace back in 2018. I really like this outfit. First of all, let's start with the makeup and hair. I just thought the makeup and hair just looked so wistful and angelic, had very much blush tones, a lot of pink hues, and I just thought it looked so cute and perfect for spring. But it might not have even occurred to most people to pair black shoes and a black bag with a blush dress. And even I likely would have gone with something lighter, but this actually works, and it works very well. I thought it looked great. And it's again taking those choices, or taking those daring moves to do something different, try something different, and look at the big payoff. She looked fantastic. Another time where she wore these shoes with a different dress was in 2019 at the Festival of Remembrance at Royal Albert Hall. On this particular evening, Meghan paired the shoes with a bespoke Erdem dress. Now, here's the thing. Again, it's bespoke, so you won't be able to find this one. However, they do have a suit in the same or similar fabric along with a similar neckline. Now, this is one of the more traditional looks that Meghan ever pulled out. It really does look like more vintage royal influence. However, where you can see her influence is one in the belt, the skirt, and the neckline. She definitely made this traditional look her own. That's one of the things about people who are interested or have a flair in fashion. They know how to take something that could be traditional and could even be more vintage and make it modern, or at least make it their own. And this is one of the best examples of that. And one of the things that I love most about this look is that she chose to wear minimal earrings or very small earrings and no necklace. That's a daring choice because it does leave a lot of skin, but I think what that actually does is it brings your attention to the detail of the dress, and it doesn't bog down. There are times where I've shot videos and I've chosen to wear earrings, necklace, bracelet, watch, and that's kind of my everyday jewelry, but I've taken a moment after reviewing and being like, you know what, I could have done without the earrings that day, or I could have done without the necklace. And it's Coco Chanel who coined the phrase, before you leave the house, remove one accessory. It's just one of her fashion rules, and she could not have been more accurate. I have a tendency to pile on. I am from Texas. I like things big and gaudy. And in my late 30s, I have transitioned into a more minimalistic kind of style. My house is very eclectic. I decorated it myself, and my dining room is very French country, and it kind of blends into a more eclectic style in my living room, and they look great side by side. However, if I were to redecorate, I would definitely remove some of the chinoiserie influences because it's kind of everywhere. But that just comes with time, with age, and with differing tastes. There are times where I want to add more decor, and then there are times where I'm like, girl, this is a lot. This is a lot. So I also think when you have a more traditional setting like Royal Albert Hall, where people will mostly be wearing something a little bit more vintage or a little bit more traditional, staying along those lines is a great call, but still making it your own. I also love that because she had her clavicle out and this amazing neckline and these very minimal buttons in the front, she pulled her hair back so that you could get a good view of her ears. That definitely framed her face really well. And that's why you have that sweetheart face shape and then the sweetheart neckline. I thought it all worked so well. And this is someone who knows what works for her. And that's why I chose this look. Now, this look differs from the others because it is more traditional, but it's one of the examples of how she took the dress code, the setting, the attire, and still made it look like Meghan. There's no way that, I'm not throwing shade at anyone. I want this to be a very positive video, but there's no way that Kate, for example, would have been able to pull off this look. This is actually one of the moments where I felt Kate took a lot of influence from Meghan's style. Now, we have seen her literally just rip the entire outfit from top to bottom from Meghan, and we've talked about it extensively. Again, I'm trying to move forward in a more positive direction. And since we've already covered that ground, I don't really like to revisit it. I like to make Meghan videos about Meghan. But here's a moment where I felt like the influence might have been missed. We didn't get a lot of boat neck looks from Kate prior to Meghan being part of the royal family. And we do know that, especially in those first 2 years, boat neck looks were very much Meghan's thing. Kate typically went with a crew neck or a high collar. Very rarely would she even do a very low V neck, or not very low, but a very light V neck. But it was rare that she wore boat neck. And this is one of the moments where I felt like she took extreme influence from Meghan's looks and her attire. So this, you can't really see it because it kind of washes out, but this is a boat neck dress with a below the knee hem and a small belt. This is a look that we've seen Meghan don in different variations throughout her time as a royal, especially prior to this moment. And this is why this doesn't work when you try and take someone's style or their influence, but you fail to make it your own. You typically end up looking washed out, and honestly, you look like you're going several places at once. If you're gonna have a boat neck, I likely wouldn't have done this huge chunky headband. And with the boat neck and the chunky headband, I wouldn't have done the pearl earrings if I'm already wearing a poppy. I just think it all looks like it's disconjointed. I think I should put it in that way. It's disconjointed. If she were going to wear the boat neck, likely would have pulled my hair back into either a low bun, a half up, half down, or even a high bun would have looked nice. But we don't really see that from Kate very often. It's also worth noting, because this look isn't made for her, it wasn't made to suit her. The belt is in the wrong place and it's the wrong size for an evening type of event. And then, of course, she's paired it with stockings that, in my opinion, were a bit too dark for what she was wearing. I think she should have gone with a warm brown so that you could tell she was wearing stockings, and it would have been appropriate for evening, but it wouldn't have looked like she was headed to a funeral. All in all, I wanted to share this comparison of what it looks like when a person takes the setting, the evening, and the semi-formal dress code and pairs it with their own influence, and they know what works for their body. I always say dress for your body type and the dress code, as well as your lifestyle. I wouldn't recommend wearing 6-inch heels, no matter how great they make your legs look, if you are going to be running after a toddler all day. You're going to end up looking very uncomfortable and having sores on your feet. You don't want to do that. You want to wear something a little lower and a little bit more balanced. And this is a great example of why you would want to, one, respect the setting, the dress code, and what works best for you. Kate obviously didn't do that. She took influences from everything around her, especially with Meghan. This dress looks like it was pulled out of Meghan's closet for a daytime engagement and made black. That's really it. Also, I feel like, again, the chunky headband. Are you doing an engagement at night? So why the headband? Why not do a formal hairstyle that pulls your hair back? She's been known to rock a chignon. This would have been a great moment for a chignon, and it actually would have highlighted her clavicle that was exposed, and it actually would have worked a lot better. But again, her influences are what's around her and not from herself. All in all, as many times as I've talked about Kate, I've always felt like her issues come back down to lack of self-esteem. And this is an example of what happens when you spend time looking outward and projecting outward as opposed to spending enough time focused inward. When you get to know yourself, a lot of these issues that are so prevalent and are so exacerbated because she's a royal and we can see them in plain sight, a lot of these issues won't plague you when you know yourself and you operate from your own perspective and you aren't trying to copy or at least trying to gain influence from other people. It's great to be inspired, but it is a very dangerous road when you can't make a decision without influence from someone else. That shows a lack of influence of yourself. And this is kind of how you get into this situation where you're the person who looks the most dressed down. She looks like an assistant to the royal family. She doesn't look like a senior royal family member. She doesn't even look like she's supposed to be there that night. That's just my opinion. And so I use this as an example in contrast to Meghan, who's been in the royal family a lot shorter amount of time at this moment, and she looks fabulous. She looks like she's been doing this forever, and she typically made it her own. She looks like Meghan going to a semi-formal event at night and still wowing us. Not like, well, she tried. And no one wants to have the well, she tried compliment or the well, she tried kind of response. So Meghan nailed it here. And this is why I always champion doing what works for you. Let me take you from semi-formal to formal. And this is formal done exquisitely. This is when Meghan attended the 2018 Australian Geographic Society Awards, and she was also a presenter, and she gave a really nice speech. But this is a moment where she paired these very fun heels. And again, we just saw her in a semi-formal moment where things are a little bit more rigid. She's at Royal Albert Hall. It's a remembrance ceremony, so it's a little bit more muted and toned down. And you saw how the shoes work there. But here, it's the Geographic Society Awards. It's a little bit more fun, a little bit more laid back, a lot higher energy, a lot more positivity flowing through the room. People are more energetic. You can see smiles on everyone's faces. And again, it's not centered around remembrance, so it's a little bit more lighthearted. And the shoes work because they give off a very fun vibe. I love how they're able to go from serious to not so serious. Let's have a good time. And they actually fit both settings. This is one of my favorite looks from Meghan ever. I think this is my top 2 favorite Meghan look ever. And that changes a lot, but this never goes anywhere. I make a new list every year of my favorite formal looks from Meghan, favorite semi-formal, favorite business, favorite daytime, favorite evening. And we've kind of been through those moments together. This is where I draw the line. This will never leave my list. If you try to take it from my list, I will fight tooth and nail. This is one of the best looks any royal has ever cranked out, ever. She looked absolutely phenomenal. Now, this dress is from Oscar de la Renta. It was their pre-fall 2018 bird embellished gown. And she also wore stackable rings from Burke's. And then, of course, the Aquazzura bow tie, aka the Danube pumps in black. The way she not only wore this with the extra tulle and the perfect cinched waist, and the way she just looked perfect with the hair and the makeup. I love when Meghan wears her hair down. That's probably my favorite look. We talk about her exquisite buns, but Meghan with a nice blowout is just unstoppable. It's the look for me. It's when I think of Meghan, I always think of a blowout. That's just what triggers in my mind. And I think it also has to do with the fact that I watch Suits, and she wears a blowout in Suits for the majority of the show as well. But that first trooping the color in pink with the blowout and the hat will forever be the Meghan look for me. And of course, that was the moment where I decided blowouts are her thing. That's it. But here's a moment where she definitely rocked this look. It was one of the moments she gave us the princess energy we were so desperately wanting. Again, no other princess or duchess could truly pull it off in this way. And I'm so glad Meghan gave us what we were looking for. This is what we want from royals. These looks like this. We want you to go for it. If you're gonna do it, do it. And this is a moment where Meghan truly handed over the full on royal regalia. Like she just, not even regalia, but the royal ensemble, and didn't need any regalia. She looked amazing. And even her makeup, notice how at night she does a little bit more bronzer, a little bit more contouring. It's a little bit darker, and she didn't even have to serve a bold lip for it to frame her face. She just looked fantastic. Her style team is also very in sync, and you can tell because they clearly work together to make sure whatever looks they're each responsible for, they're complementing one another. Because you wouldn't want like this makeup necessarily with a different type of hairstyle. You want to go for the vavoom, and definitely the dress served vavoom, the shoes served vavoom, and the hair and makeup absolutely were on par. This is one of my favorite looks ever. And even when you look at the videos of Meghan from this evening, the way she flows through the crowd, she was definitely in her element. She looked amazing, and she gave an amazingly flawless speech. No notes. Like this. I am trying my best to like cut it here because I could literally talk about this list. I mean, talk about this look for another hour. So I'm gonna spare you my rant. Bye, y'all. Let's move to the next look. Now, I wanted to pull this out for the last look that we're showcasing to talk about the bow tie heels. And the reason I'm pulling this one back out is because we just talked about a semi-formal look that was done all wrong. And here's why those elements didn't work for Kate, but they do work for Meghan in a different semi-formal setting. So we have the same, not the same, but we have a boat neck neckline, a belted waist, and a below the knee skirt. Why does this not look like a daytime engagement outfit, but Kate's did? The reason is, first of all, it fits to Meghan. It was made to be her style, and she took notes to make sure it was appropriate for an evening event in a way that Kate did not. Also, her stockings, if she is wearing any, are nude and they match her skin tone. And I don't actually believe she's wearing stockings here. And again, I know that that's kind of like a royal thing, but this outfit didn't call for it, and it's why one of the reasons why the outfit doesn't look like she's headed to a funeral. It looks like she's headed to a semi-formal evening event, which she is. I also love that she paired this with a beret. How creative. A beret that's actually off center and showcases her lovely locks, and she has a blowout. Now, again, I'm a little bit partial to the blowout, but this is why it works. She didn't use a chunky headband that looked like she was going to school. She wore a beret, a little bit of a fashion flair, and she didn't wear overstated earrings, and she did not wear a necklace because she already has a poppy and she already has a belt. Also, last thing, because she knows her body, Meghan is a little bit shorter. Look at how high she wore her belt, and she opted for a chunkier belt that suited just below the double-breasted buttons. That matters because you don't want your buttons to kind of clog up the belt. I've seen where people put a belt over a jacket and it doesn't work because it's too much. The buttons end just below the bust where the belt begins. So it looks like a very clean outfit, very clean lines, and it's fit to her. This is the results when you even take the same style elements. Meghan is referencing herself here. The quarter-length sleeves, the boat neck, the below the knee. These are all her style staples that we saw from her repeatedly when on royal engagements. And it's most similar to an outfit we already talked about, which was her Prada outfit that she wore to the Queen's Young Leaders reception earlier that year in June. So she's referencing herself here. However, someone else referenced her at their visit to the Royal Albert Hall, and this is why those same elements didn't work for that person, but they absolutely work here. And again, comparing this outfit to her same, or not even the same, but to a similar outfit that she wore earlier in the year for a daytime event, you can actually see what elements she adopted and kept and what elements she removed to make it more appropriate from day to night. In the similar look, she wore a boat neck sleeve, but if you look in the evening version of this look, which came months later, you see the sleeves are actually a lot more structured around the shoulder in a way that they weren't when she was at the Queen's Young Leaders ceremony. Also, the belt for the evening look is chunkier. The buttons are bigger and there are fewer buttons, and the belt is higher. She also has longer sleeves, and the skirt is a lot more structured. She's also wearing a beret, whereas in the daytime version, the belt is thinner, the waist is a lot more cinched and it's shorter. The sleeves are shorter. The neckline is a lot more fluid. And the skirt itself has an asymmetrical hemline where it gives it a little bit more flair and it's less structured, all of which complete the look for a daytime look, whereas her evening look was more appropriate for evening. This is what happens when you are intentional about what elements work for you and also how to make those things your own. As you can see, I had a lot of fun making this list. So now I actually want to go down the list of a few pairs of the more daring shoes that she's worn. Now, I'm not going to get all of them. Meghan has been wearing Aquazzura for a very long time. She is very much committed to the brand, and she was one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, the biggest reason why the brand took off the way it did. And so I have no time, nor do you, to go through all of them. So I just plucked a few of my favorites from the list, but that still gives us room for next time. So feel free to share any looks that you want me to talk about next time in a part 2 that I didn't get to share today. And we can just keep this going. One of the impressions people have started to get over time is that they make very traditional royal shoes. And while they do that and do that very, very well, some of the best I've seen, they also do very fun and very Sex in the City Carrie Bradshaw heels. They give very fun vibes. They have eclectic heels. They have all kinds of heels, all kinds of flats. They have a lot of looks. And so I wanted to showcase some of the more daring looks that Meghan has pulled out of her closet. And I would actually find these to be shoes that she hasn't worn that often, but definitely made an impression on me. And so that's why I wanted to take a moment, even though we don't have a lot of repeat looks from these shoes. This is why I wanted to take a moment to actually highlight them in this video. These are the Aquazzura Maypearl slingback pumps. These are some of my favorite shoes I've ever seen. Not just Aquazzura shoes, but these are some of my favorite shoes ever. And she wore these twice in one day. In 2020, she had lunch with her UK staff at Goring Hotel, and then later that same day, she attended the immersive storytelling studio where she wore the shoes again. Now, again, these are the Aquazzura Maypearl slingback pumps. Now, she paired this with, in this photo, you see a coat, but she actually paired this with a top and a skirt. The top was from Topshop, and it's the ivory organza sleeve button through blouse. And then the skirt was Roland Mouret mocha skirt in white. And then, of course, she had the low postal black handbag. Now, this is one of the more simpler handbags that she's worn. And I love that she went for a simple handbag because you have the organza top and then you have this very jacquard skirt. And it's got a lot of fabric and a lot of detail. And then you even have the Maypearl slingbacks with the pearl accents. And then you still have a lot going on with the straps. It's giving very much like modern Mary Jane vibes. Very cute. And so she went with a structured and a very simple bag and a very small bag. And it all works together. Again, Meghan tends to have a very symmetrical and a very balanced look to her outfits from top to bottom. Everything is very intentional. And this is one of the moments that I love with that in mind. I love how it all works together. It has an innocent quality to it. And the fact that she attended a storytelling in the immersive storytelling studio, it all works well together. And then she even gave it a more modern touch with the coat. This is why this is one of my favorite looks. But these shoes, we didn't see them enough and I want to see them again, but I really, really loved them. Now, I know many of you will be excited to see that these shoes made the list because these are a fan favorite. These are the Aquazzura Casablanca 85 multi-strap suede pumps that she wore in 2018 to her first Royal Foundation Forum, and the theme of the forum was making a difference together. Now, she paired these amazing shoes with a navy blue wrap dress by Jason Wu, and the extended lapels of the dress added interest to the look, while the sleek belt accentuated her waistline. Now, again, we're seeing something very common, and we're seeing something that was later adopted by other royals, which was the accent belts, taking something kind of normal and making it work for you and kind of adding a little flair to the outfit. Now, I love that everyone looked like they were in theme. Now knowing the story behind this event and what was going on prior to the event with the lip gloss and Kate being kind of a drag, and then also how Meghan was attacked for mentioning several movements that were happening, particularly Me Too. This, looking back on this, aside from the fashion, it always just makes me so much more proud of Meghan for truly staying true to herself, and look at what that has resulted in. Yes, she does get a lot of hate directed at her, and I think as we've dissected that for the last 3 years on this channel and several years longer on other channels, one of the things that we've all found with those complaints and those criticisms were empty vessels. They really don't manifest into anything real, and other than the extremism that it amplifies, which we've talked about the safety side of that, but the complaints themselves are empty. Why wouldn't you want a person who has a lot of eyes on them and has a platform and has the ability to encourage and influence change? Why wouldn't you want them to use that opportunity to try and help the world become a better place and be more progressive? Not only that, but knowing what we know now, knowing about all of the attempts at obstruction from the royal family, from the tabloids, from the essentially the haters and the extremists, knowing, and her family, everything that was going on behind the scenes, knowing everything that was going on prior to this moment and even leading up to this moment, Meghan channeled that into showing up to do good. She still used her voice to advocate for those who needed her platform, needed a platform to amplify their message, and she still showed up to do good. Now, for a lot of people, having as many obstacles put in front of them in the same way that Meghan had when she entered the royal family, or it was even a thought that she might enter the royal family, having those obstacles might have detoured them or distracted them. And that's, I'm not shaming anyone who gets distracted. We all have our journeys and we all have our challenges. And life is just about what's the next challenge, rising to the occasion, meeting that challenge and overcoming, because we will, and we do every time. But this is a moment where we got to see someone who prevailed in the face of those challenges, even those that we still have yet to know about. And seeing her give this speech or give her input on this panel, and seeing where she focused her energy and seeing how she still continued to advocate. She did not once take those obstacles and say me. She took those obstacles and said, well, you know what? I'm already advocating for people who are disenfranchised or under-resourced. And you know what? Let's continue. Let's take these frustrations and channel them where they need to go. I can deal with this stuff later for me. But right now, my voice is being used for good. That type of selflessness is not something you come by often. And while yes, we are here to talk about the fabulous outfit and the fabulous shoes, I just didn't want to let this moment pass. Anytime we talk about the 2018 Royal Foundation Forum, that is always the resounding impression that I get and that I remember of hearing her speak the words "Me Too," sitting on that panel with two old fogies who are younger than her. It's all about the energy. She's the latest addition. She's not even a blood-born royal. And she's coming to this as an American, the person who, in my opinion, had given up the most to be there. And at that time had a lot to prove to her new public, and still took that time to stand on business. There was a lot at stake, and Meghan rose to the occasion in a way that so many people would have not had the power to do. So many people wouldn't have had the courage to do. And it's one of those moments that truly defined her place as a royal for me. And she let them and us know, I'm here to advocate for good. And boy, did she do that. She started the way she finished her royal life, advocating, operating, and encouraging good. And I think that's her legacy as a royal. Now, whether or not that was received, I can't advocate for that. I can't vouch for that. But what I will say is I can damn sure see what work was done. I can see the breadcrumbs that were laid, and I can see the results of her good works. And I'm still proud of her to this day. She went through hell and high water and still rose to the top. So proud of her. And this was the beginning of that experience.
For me, it's very important to, once you hit the ground running, even if you're doing it quietly behind the scenes, which is what I've focused my energy on thus far, is meeting with the right people, meeting with the right organizations behind the scenes quietly, learning as much as I can so that I can maximize the opportunity we have here to really make an impact. What's interesting is I hear a lot of people saying when speaking about girls' empowerment, finding and knowing their worth, well, you're helping women find their voices. And I fundamentally disagree with that, because Women don't need to find a voice. They have a voice. They need to feel empowered to use it, and people need to be encouraged to listen. They can hit the ground running, but up until then, I'm pretty excited.
But like you said, I mean, you've been here.
Of course, you know what the next edition on this list would be. It's the Aquazzura Dangerous Liaisons 105 Pump. These are the heels that Meghan wore to the 2023 Variety Power of Women Gala, and although because her dress was floor-length, we didn't get a good glimpse of them, here they are in all of their glory. They are gorgeous. These are some of my favorite pumps, and they are a little bit more daring than some of the other pumps that we've seen Meghan wear. I love the structure of these heels, and I also love how high they are and how they make her ankle pop. And you can kind of see that through the slit on the red carpet, and in the red carpet photos, there are a few photos of her in motion where you can get a good glimpse of her feet in these heels and even a good glimpse of these heels. And although you don't get to see them outright, again, because of the length of the dress, I just wanted to highlight them because I just thought they were so phenomenal. And I'm 100% sure we are going to be seeing these a few more times from Meghan's looks.
I really design what I love, and it comes from the heart.
Of course, we have to have our grand finale be the two moments that are featured in the Aquazzura video themselves. Meghan and Harry's engagement photo call and Meghan and Harry's reception looks. Now, we didn't get a lot of looks at the shoes from the reception, but we got plenty from the engagement photo call. And these are actually the only Aquazzura pumps that I own. I literally purchased them maybe 3 months after their engagement photo call. I saw them the first time and I was like, ooh, those are cute, but where would I wear them? Only for me to figure out several places that I could wear them, stop making excuses, get my money up, and purchase these shoes. These are some of the most beautiful and comfortable heels I've ever worn. And so these are the only ones on the list that I can actually vouch for their comfort. They're very comfortable. And I think it's because I have a little bit more ankle support. Y'all know I have a little cankle issue. So these are some of the best heels for that. They always make my calves look beautiful. And so that's why I like them personally. But here you can see they complement Meghan well. They're a little bit more modern than I expected, but when you see them with the coat and the dress underneath in the engagement video, and of course here at the engagement photo call, you can see why she picked them. They very much look like her. They have her style elements, and I love the laces. Laces on heels are just such a rarity, and they look so beautiful. I also love how the laces actually have a little bit of a metal weight at the end and they bounce when you walk, and it almost looks magnetic. So I love the effect that they have when you walk. These are some of the most beautiful shoes I've ever seen, and these are definitely some of my favorite pairs of Aquazzuras that Meghan has worn. How have I gotten this far? And I didn't even mention that these are actually the Aquazzura Matilda sandals, and it's spelled Matilda with an E, so I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but bets are I'm not. I never am. But I wanted to share these because they're some of my favorites and they're included in the video. As far as the last pair that we're going to feature in today's video, as well as the last pair featured in the Aquazzura video, it's the wedding reception heels. Now, these were Aquazzura, however, they were bespoke. Oh yes, custom made for the Duchess herself, and they have baby blue soles, and a lot of people feel like this was a reference to Your Something Blue. However, she also wore the aquamarine ring from Princess Diana that matches the baby blue soles, and one of the signature colors of Aquazzura is baby blue. It's kind of more of a Tiffany or a robin's egg blue, but I don't know that they can say that. So it kind of gives that vibe, and I actually have the same color blue plastered across my wall, and it's like a French teal. But anyway, these were bespoke. However, many people feel that these were based on a combination of several Aquazzura heel models. Some were mesh, some had baby blue soles, some had a metal, not a metal, but kind of like a metal accent across the front. They were pointed toe and they were about 4 inches. Again, we've never really gotten a good close up of the heels, and Aquazzura hasn't really gone into detail as to what were the elements that were included to make these heels. And I guess that's just like a little personal thing between them and Meghan. And I actually find that to be kind of sweet. But they were featured in the video, and I hope one day we get a breakdown of this heel. This is actually something that made me follow Aquazzura, the brand, on Instagram because they do a lot of behind the scenes. And from time to time, I will go check to see if they've ever talked about her wedding reception heels, because that is something that I am still waiting on with bated breath. But overall, this look was very modern. I loved this look. And as you can see now, since her wedding reception, we've seen the high neck halter wedding dress become a staple, as well as the boat neck wedding dress. It literally is one of those things that have taken on a trend of its own, and we've seen this repeated several times. And you can also see fast fashion making replicas of these dresses, because of course they do. But Meghan literally started a trend with her wedding dresses. Prior to Meghan, lace was in, and kind of an off-white look. After Meghan, we've seen the bright white, we've seen the halter, and we've seen the boat neck make a comeback. You better work, girl. All in all, one of my favorite things about covering Meghan's style, not even just her shoes, but her style as a whole, is that she's very true to herself. She manages to blend classic pieces with innovative looks, brands, and designs. She definitely doesn't follow trends, she rather creates them. This was never more evident than seeing her royal style as a whole and her post royal style as well. She didn't follow the playbook, she adapted her style to the lifestyle, and the results were striking. She and her mother in law, Princess Diana, are the two most stylish royal women ever. One reason why is that they both played to their strengths, interests, and lifestyle, totally revamping the playbook and what the world expects from royal fashion. Mulling this over, I decided to get more acquainted with Aquazzura as a brand, and I'm surprised that I haven't before, seeing as though I have an entire Sussex style series. Shameless plug, go check out the playlist. And we've never dedicated a video to the brand, despite it being such a huge part of Meghan's style and her wardrobe. Now, if you haven't had the pleasure of visiting the Aquazzura website, here it is. I cannot believe this is the first time we're doing this, you guys, especially considering we've done Sussex style videos. But right now, if you purchase from Aquazzura, you can get a complimentary standard shipping and return. Thought I'd add that since they put it at the top here. So let's get a little bit more acquainted with Aquazzura. Exuding a modern, alluring elegance, Aquazzura's footwear collections have become instantly iconic since their debut in 2012. Exquisitely handmade in Italy with a particular focus on comfort and wearability, Edgardo Osorio's creations combine luxury and craftsmanship with an innovative design and vibrant color palettes. That sounds like Meghan to me. What do you think? The first decade of extraordinary successes and international recognition marks the launch of two new product lines, affirming the transformation of Aquazzura into a true lifestyle brand. The Casa collection, declined in four tableware lines, presented in 2022, is inspired by Osorio's passion for interior design and art de la table. This year sees the launch of the Aquazzura handbag line. I'm almost 100% sure I pronounced that wrong, but we're just going to keep it pushing. A modern and versatile collection featuring an array of sophisticated and feminine day-to-night styles imagined for every occasion. Now, that's so funny because I like to do live reactions to stuff like this so that you can get my authentic feedback in the moment. So obviously, I hadn't read this yet. I find it to be funny that they emphasize the day to night wearability when that is literally what we just talked about for the last hour. Creative director and founder Edgardo Osorio, a life spent living between Colombia, Miami, and London, Miami, that's where I am, working for prestigious fashion houses, decided to establish his own brand in Florence, heart of Italian art and capital of the best shoemakers and artisans. Edgardo's dream business idea came to life inside the spectacular setting of Palazzo Corsini, Aquazzura's headquarters, starting a 10-year journey of pure creativity and love for Italian savoir-faire through the combination of traditional techniques and luxurious materials. Aquazzura's shoes have been recently showcased in major movie productions, such as the popular TV series And Just Like That, starring Sarah Jessica Parker, and its sequel to the iconic Sex and the City series, in the James Bond movie No Time to Die with Ana de Armas, and worn by Lady Gaga in House of Gucci, directed by Ridley Scott. Aquazzura's collections are available at over 300 top retailers in 58 countries, online at aquazzura.com, and at the flagship boutiques in Florence, London, New York, Miami, Doha, Dubai, Milan, Sao Paulo, Capri, Madrid, Paris, and Rome. In addition to his iconic seasonal collections, Edgardo Osorio has also launched exclusive Aquazzura capsule collections with renowned influencers, including Olivia Palermo. What? I know that's right, Olivia. Sorry, I love Olivia Palermo. I've been following her career for a very long time. Poppy Delavigne, Claudia Schiffer, among others, and international brands like Swarovski, Barbara Sturm, and De Gournay. Now, how are we going to talk about the brand if we don't talk about the designer? Edgardo Osorio. Edgardo Osorio is the founder and creative director of Aquazzura. Born in Colombia and raised between Miami and London, where he attended the London College of Fashion and Central St. Martin's, Osorio takes his first steps in the world of luxury footwear by working for prestigious fashion houses. 10 years of experience in the industry and his innate passion for designing shoes paved the way for the launch of Aquazzura in 2011. Combining Osorio's unique creative flair and innovative vision to create shoes that are not just beautifully crafted, but also extremely comfortable, Aquazzura collections immediately gain international recognition. Ranging from timeless high-heel pumps and sandals to sophisticated flats with chic, playful details, Osorio's signature styles are claimed as must-have shoes by top influencers and fashion press worldwide. Osorio's penchant for modern design and elements of symbolic value translates into his drawings. The emblem of the golden pineapple was chosen by the designer for its multiple meanings, including hospitality and beauty, and for being a good luck charm. The name Aquazzura is inspired by Osorio's love for the sea, and specifically for the crystal clear waters of the Italian island of Capri. His designs evoke a new Dolce Vita, deeply linked to Italian craftsmanship with an unmistakable contemporary twist. Since we're talking about them, it would behoove me to go ahead and share their Instagram. If you aren't already following them and you have an Instagram account, feel free to go check them out. Their page is one of the most beautiful you will find on the platform. Ooh. Also, see like what I just did. Follow them so you can see what new styles they have going on, and you can also get the early tip on some new shoes. Now, here are the 3 videos in sequence on their Instagram profile, sharing the story of how this design process comes to be. I love this, but I also would have preferred that they use for the thumbnail the photo of him holding up the heel, the drawing of the heel, so that in sequence you could see the drawing, the heel itself, and then the book. It just, in my opinion, would have been it would have been more of a pop, and it would have looked more in sequence. Now, that's just me now. Don't take my advice. My Instagram is struggling. I only have 16,000 subscribers, so don't. And while we're at it, since I talked about the Aquazzura Instagram, it is my recommendation that you also follow the founder and creative director, Edgardo Osorio. His Instagram is just as beautiful. And something else I wanted to point out, this robin's egg blue, this teal, this one of the signature colors of Aquazzura is also heavily on his Instagram as well. And you can see that here as well as in some of his storefronts. I also wanted to point out something that I completely missed earlier about the reception looks from Harry and Meghan. The heel of Meghan's shoe was the robin's egg, the baby blue. Her ring from Princess Diana was the aquamarine ring, which was also kind of a baby blue, that robin's egg hue. And then also the car that they drove was baby blue. I don't know why I didn't mention that, but it all worked. And I thought it was just such a cute connection between those 3 items that were such a pop, but nothing popped more than that dress and that James Bond tuxedo. Those 2 looked great. Anyway, I just wanted to share Edgardo Osorio's Instagram because I follow him now and he has such a beautiful palette. He really does have an eye for design. I'm very impressed. So I wanted to share that and I didn't want to share the brand and not the person behind it. Also, several royal women have worn Aquazzura since Meghan laid the foundation. She definitely set the trend. Now, other royal women, a royal wife, a royal cousin, and an official royal mistress all wear Aquazzura heels because they all want the Markle Sparkle. And you know what? Who can blame them? I know that's right. The Meghan effect is very real. That was such a fun watch. I definitely wanted to end with a vintage photo of Meghan wearing Aquazzuras long before she became a royal and before any of them caught on to the trend, before it was a trend. And so I wanted to end it here near the beginning of her relationship with this amazing brand. That is all I have for you today as far as the Aquazzura video. I just want to say thanks to everyone who watches the channel, who subscribe, who are members. This is the first video that will be a members premiere and a live video for the public, but will only be public for a limited amount of time. After a week, it will go back into the vault, aka the member vault, and it will become a members only video again. So I hope everybody gets a chance to watch it before that point. After that, this goes back to being a gift from me to my members. I have gotten a few inquiries as to why do I have members only videos, because members support the channel in a different way. I appreciate everyone who views, watches, engages, shares, comments, however you interact. I truly appreciate it. I also really appreciate members who take it up a notch and take the option to support the channel in a different way. By supporting the channel as a member, it definitely enables me to do a lot more for my channel because it provides a lot more support. And so with that in mind, I want to show that appreciation by providing exclusive content. Same for my Patreon. Patreon gets a whole different slew of content that is not shared over here. They also get the content that's shared here publicly, but also they get their own content that is not a members only video. It's a Patreon video. So I do produce videos for all my different channels and for the UN. So I'm busy when y'all don't see me, it's probably because something done caught up with me. I've been too busy. So anyway, this video was actually supposed to go up yesterday on Monday, but I had some random stuff pop up last minute and I did not want to just put it up without putting my fine touches on it. And no, it's not perfect, but I do want my content to be of a certain level. And by rushing it, I would not have given you the experience that I wanted to give you. So I prefer to wait one more day so I could come back to it and finish it in the way that I wanted it to be finished rather than just rushing it out because I had another deadline that popped up. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is probably the most fun I've had doing a video in a long time. I can't wait to revamp the Sussex style playlist. If you are not acquainted, feel free to go check them out. It is in a playlist. You can go check it out linked below. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Again, this will become a members only video next week. So if you are not a member, feel free to consider joining a membership. That's all I have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.